This is Abby Blue. Welcome to our podcast. This is our second podcast. The first podcast we talk about work permits, about immigration in Ireland, and today we're going to talk about the good things of living in Ireland. Today we are with Belinda. Welcome to our podcast, Belinda.
Hi, thanks, Kevin. It's nice to be here. I'm Belinda. I'm part of the Abbey Blue team.
We're going to start with the basic questions. Belinda has been living here for a few years, so I want you to tell me a little bit more about it. How long have you been here? And why did you decide to come to this beautiful country? Why did you decide to come to Ireland?
Okay, well, I first came here about 2.5 years ago just for a holiday. Never been to the island before, which is really stupid because I lived in the UK for many years, so it wasn't far. And what struck me when I did visit was, ironically, the sunshine. There was so much of it, but the friendliness of the people. You walk down the street and somebody you've never seen in your life before will make eye contact and go, "Morning." And it's just lovely. It's something I hadn't experienced for many, many years. Great friendliness and just the beauty of the countryside. And that persuaded me 6 months later to move here.
To be honest, when I first came here 2.5 years ago, it was something that impacted me because I was in a small town, and usually where I come from, you walk on the streets and you just mind your own business. You just walk wherever you go. But here in Ireland, people are so friendly. If you go to towns, people walk next to you. They say good morning, hi, and it's something different if you haven't been here before, and it's a feeling that is good. You feel that you are safe. You feel that everyone is so friendly, and wherever you go in Ireland, people will be always so warm. They will be always friendly, and this is just part of living in Ireland. This has been my experience since I came here, so I want you to tell me more about you. What are the things that have impacted you the most since you have been in Ireland? I know that England is next to the country, but there are so many changes.
Sure, no worries at all. Well, I came over in the middle of winter and didn't really know what to expect, apart from the fact that everybody was so friendly. So I had no expectations. The first thing I managed to do was find a job. And I realised that jobs are actually, and employment is really readily available in Ireland. And the salaries are pretty good as well, with a minimum wage coming in next year, just going up a little bit from what it is at the moment, will take people up to a minimum of 24,500 for a 40-hour working week, and that is minimum. And salaries generally do seem to be a lot higher than that as well. So I found work very easily, and I found also that, going back to the friendliness, I slotted in well, and all my colleagues welcomed me, and I made good friends out of it very quickly. Which, when you're moving to a foreign country, it can be quite daunting, the thought of being on your own. So the friendliness was absolutely wonderful. It really came into its own. So, yeah, for sure, employment is an area that was important for me, obviously, and has proven to be really successful. I'm now with the Abbey Blue team and really enjoying every minute of that as well. So, yeah. Friendliness, employment, and then the other thing that struck me, I touched on it briefly when I explained about my visit over here, but yeah, moving over and actually seeing more of the countryside and the beaches. Oh my Lord, those beaches. Forget Bali, forget Spain, forget Greece, get Ireland in the southeast on a good day, and you cannot beat the beach.
The scenery is amazing.
Yeah, it is. I mean, in the one direction you'll have the golden sands, yellow sands, the beautiful blue waters, and then turn around and over the sand dunes in the far distance you'll see the mountains. It's stunning, absolutely beautiful.
This is a good part of Ireland. For example, when I was in Spain, if I wanted to go out, I was just going to the mall or just probably go to watch a movie. But here in Ireland, my favorite part is when, I want to go out. I don't go to the mall. I open Google Maps, I open Google, and I look for parks. There are so many parks in Ireland, and you can really have so much fun, go for a walk. And the scenery, doesn't matter if it's the beach, the mountain, lakes, it's just amazing. And talking back about the jobs, if I don't know if so many people know this, but when you're in Ireland and you're looking for a job, it is so easy that if you open the app Indeed, you will see every day many jobs in different industries. And it is so easy to get an interview and get a job.
Absolutely. No, I quite agree. Indeed, is it a great source of employment opportunities. I've used it. I've applied for 2 jobs and got 2 jobs since I've been here. So that worked really well for me. I've mentioned scenery and the beaches and all those gorgeous things, but the other part of Ireland is that it's steeped in history. And that sort of ties in. Everywhere you go, you'll see old buildings, whether it's Tintern Abbey or the government buildings in Dublin. There's fascinating history. It's absolutely, for anybody who has any interest in ancestry at all, it's a great place to visit.
You find castles everywhere you go.
Absolutely. And I love the fact that in England we talk about a castle and we think of something that's absolutely massive like Warwick or something like that. We have castles here that were square towers that were built just to house one family, but they're still castles. Big castles, little castles, all sorts of castles.
Everywhere you go, you see castles, and I think that so many people can be interested about the Irish tradition. I know that, for example, when I was in Spain, I heard so much about the pubs, about these beautiful places where you go, and so many Irish people like to go on the weekends. So I want you to tell me, what do you think about these Irish traditions?
Historically, Ireland has a very deep and long history. You've got places like the Heritage Centre just outside of Wexford, which tells the story of Ireland from the times of the Vikings. And in that respect, that's a living history place. There's a lot of information. Bringing it right up to date as well, though, of course, Ireland has to be really famous for its Guinness. Arguably the best Guinness in the world, drunk in some of the best places in the world. There's not a lot that can beat an Irish pub on a Saturday night. They're great fun, but it's not just the alcohol, and that can be a culture, but it's the other traditions that the Irish seem to embrace of music and song. And whether you are in a pub or whether you're in a concert hall or the Spiegel tent down on the quay in Wexford, which is here at the moment, the music, the talent that's around, songsters, musicians, writers, some of the most famous writers in the world hailed from Ireland, and artists as well. There's a wealth of galleries and beautiful places to view the fantastic artwork that the Irish community seems to be able to offer.
If you're in Ireland, you can find since art, music, to even sports. There are different sports here that I never saw before, like Gaelic football. Everywhere you go, doesn't matter the country where you are, you see so often their t-shirts about their favorite team. You see the kids with their stick, with their Gaelic stick, walking around. And this is just this beautiful part of the country. People really like sports. They are so into it. Wherever you go, you see the families going to the park or going to the field to play. And even when you go to the pubs, you see all these people watching sports.
You're absolutely right, yes. I make a joke about football. Of course, the Irish in rugby, number 1 in the world at the moment, albeit that unfortunately we lost the World Cup. But passionate about their rugby, passionate about hurling. You mentioned the children with the sticks. Wow, what a game. The fastest team game in the world, arguably the most dangerous as well. They now all have to wear protective helmets. But it's no wonder that the Irish are passionate about their sport when they've got such amazing sportsmen to play these games. And everybody, from the smallest child to the oldest resident, will enjoy their sport, whether it is the Gaelic football, which I don't know anything about, hurling, rugby, racing. It's in the blood, and if you enjoy sport at all, you will love Ireland.
You see when you come here is that you see still so many horses on the street, on the roads. Irish people really like horses. This is a thing that for me was kind of crazy when I came here, that it was just driving my car and then there was a horse on the road. Whether you like sports or music, or you just want to have fun with your friends, you have so many options when you come here, and this is just part of the culture.
So we talked about a bit about sports and a bit about culture and music and everything else like that. But something I personally have lived out of the UK before in other countries, and one of the big things I struggled with was trying to learn another language. Bureaucracy is all very well, but when it's not your own bureaucracy and you have to wade your way through it, and it's in a foreign language, foreign to you, it can be really daunting. Now here in Ireland, I am so pleased that the Irish language is alive and kicking. It's taught in schools and it's very much a part of the culture. But English is the most widely spoken language in Ireland. It is also taught in schools and it is also the first language used in most places. So there is never ever any problem, if you're an English speaker, of finding that you're unable to understand.
If you come to Ireland and you can think that, oh, they speak Irish. They do speak Irish, but you don't really need it to live here. Most of the people speak English, and Irish is an extra language. It's their native language, but if you don't speak Irish, it is not going to be a problem.
Absolutely, yes. I believe English is more widely spoken than Irish, but I do also know that Irish is taught in schools. And so young people at least have a basic grasp of it, even if they don't use it in their day-to-day lives. I love the fact that the television over here, you can pick up 101 different channels that speak English, but there are channels where you have the Irish spoken word as well. It's a great opportunity to learn as well if you enjoy your linguistics.
You have the opportunity there if you really want to learn a new language. Irish people really like their culture, and they will be more than happy to teach you a few words.
Yeah, absolutely. Talking about learning languages, that does bring me nicely onto education, which is another good reason for considering a move to Ireland. Personally, I'm a little bit past going to school, but from friends who have families with school-aged children and university-aged kids, I understand that the education system is actually really, really good. And I did dig up one or two little bits of information actually about the education system. So in 2022, Ireland was ranked third amongst the 38 member countries of the Organisation for Economic Cooperation and Development for its rate of third-level education attainment. The OECD is made up from countries all over the world, from Europe, the States, the Americas, Australasia and Asia. So that's a pretty good stat. 54% of the Irish people had achieved third-level university education, 13 points higher than the average for the OECD. And that 63% of 18 to 24-year-olds in Ireland are currently in education, compared to an EU average of 59%. That is pretty good. And with the younger children as well, the reading age of 15-year-olds is actually amongst the highest in the world. It's pipped only by Estonia, Canada and Finland, which is pretty good too. Enrolment in secondary level education is also very, very high. And certainly at a personal level, watching the kids going to and from school in the morning, for a relatively small town that we live in Wexford, the place is packed with school uniforms from 8:30 till 9 o'clock each morning and again in the afternoons. It does actually reflect.
You come here to Ireland and you see all the kids with their uniforms. It looks organized. It looks like they really take the education seriously. They are really investing on their future and education. Like you said, they just don't get the living certificate. They want to get something else, and they go to get a degree. They go to the university, and not just Irish people. Ireland is known because of its education, and so many people come to Ireland to study at the university or just to learn the language.
Absolutely, yeah. There is the junior leaving cert and the senior leaving cert. That's at 16 and 18 years old. And a vast majority of people do go on to further education after that over here. In addition to some amazing universities, as you said, we have a lot of foreign students come in who choose to study in this country either for a degree or for language skills. We have numerous language schools. I've seen recently advertisements looking for host families for Italians and for Spanish people who are coming over here specifically to learn the language for 6 months or whatever. Ireland does have a great history of education, and they're bringing it forward into the 20s and 30s, I'm sure, as well.
This what you said is actually very common. I was living with a family 1 year ago, and this family had two students abroad, one from Germany and one from the Netherlands. So this is very common that you see so many students from other countries coming here to study. I had another friend who came here to study English, and now he's trying to get into the university. So people actually come here, they like the country, and they want to still be here to study. The education is very good. If you want to learn the language, Ireland is a good place to go. One of the important things that I have seen in this country is the safety. I have never seen such a safe country in my life. I have lived in Colombia and I have lived in Spain. The safety that I feel when I'm in Ireland, I can't compare it with any other country where I have been living.
I have no problem at all of walking around town, even on my own in the evenings, although I do tend to go with my husband. But yeah, and equally, I feel safe. I don't feel that there's any particular risks here. And I've had a quick look, and I've looked at the statistics for that as well. And actually, according to the Global Peace Index, Ireland rates as the third safest country in the world.
Wow.
The only places which are any safer are Iceland and New Zealand, both of which I've been to and visited and felt safe in them as well. Its crime rate is pretty good and pretty low. It's rated 97th lowest crime rate in the world on the Global Crime Index. It's on the par with the UK and Germany, who are 99th and 96th respectively, and Greece with 92nd. And it has a substantially lower crime rate than many of its European partners, including France, Italy, Croatia and Spain. And it's also significantly safer than the USA, in terms of these statistics at least. And certainly what we see from day to day, I think, is largely reflected. I was amused to see a television programme the other night about crime in Ireland, and it made it onto national television that a bicycle worth €300 had been stolen from a garage and found again. I'm not saying that it's a laughing matter, but in the overall scheme of things, if that can make it to the national news, that's a pretty good reflection.
Something that is not very common. You usually don't hear that something bad happened in town.
We've talked quite a bit about the positive things of being in Ireland. I would say, and I'd be a liar if I didn't, that probably the biggest downside to Ireland is the rain. It's true, it does rain a lot. However, when the sun shines, and it does shine, it's glorious. It brings the rain brings the green out into the countryside, and when the sun comes along as well, it's the nearest thing to heaven that you'll find. So also, the way of life that we're experiencing here, to me, I feel like I'm going back in time 20 years. It's just that little bit slower. The technology's here, don't get me wrong, but just that pace of life is a lot more manageable than the hustle and bustle of some of the places that I've been in the world. So give us the sunshine and give us that slow pace of life, and we've pretty much got it.
If you want to live in a city like Cork or Dublin, you can. But if you want to have a chill life, you want to just relax, you can go to a countryside, you can go to live in a town, and everything is so pacific. You don't have so much noise around. But if you really like the day-to-day to live in a city and a busy city like Cork or Dublin, you have that option as well. And yeah, the raining. Everyone knows about the raining in Ireland. You can wake up someday at 8 a.m. There is a big shiny sun outside. 1 hour later it's raining. After 1 hour there is sun again. So you can never expect what's going to happen the next day. It's raining almost all the time, but at the end of the day you get used to it. And if you like cold weather...
It rains, it just pisses it down permanently. Don't mention the West Coast, it rains a lot more there.
I had a friend that he liked the cold weather, but he can't with raining every day. Yeah. He can't.
It's the year I came. It was the same year as you came. That summer was absolutely stunning. We had several weeks of sunshine. I started coming over in July, and I came over 7 times in 6 months, and I think until the October it was just wall-to-wall sunshine every time I came over. But then that was extremely good.
Yeah. The thing is, like in the summer, for example, we get like 2 weeks summer. And these 2 weeks, hopefully I'm off. I try to get holidays and then go somewhere. Yeah. I really enjoy these 20 degrees, 25 degrees. Yeah. And you get used to the cold. Then the summer comes and it hits hard.
Really hot. My God, it's 24 degrees. It's so hot out there. Yeah. I was in Greece at 30, 32 degrees in October, and it was like, I'm sure it was hotter in England, in Ireland. But,
with the time you get used to, at least I got used to it. Yeah. I don't really think about the weather. I see raining and it's like, okay, another day. Yeah. Another day in Ireland. We got used to it.
Absolutely. We went down did the Ring of Kerry in July. You'd have thought I'd be nice. I only saw half of the Ring of Kerry. The rest of it was a complete whiteout. This is the middle of July. Rolling cloud, thick fog, pouring rain. We went on the beach in our jackets with the hoods up in the middle of bloody July. But yeah, it is what it is, isn't it? You can have too much sunshine.